So we're sticking with the theme of obstructive shock today, but we're going to talk about one specifically, and that's cardiac tamponade. So in tamponade, the pericardial sac that surrounds the heart fills with fluid, and this can happen for a lot of different reasons. It can happen from malignancy, so sometimes cancer. It can happen from trauma, aortic dissection, so a lot of different reasons. But no matter what the reason is, the sac is filling with fluid and it's putting pressure on our heart. And a lot of people think, well, this pressure causes my heart to not be able to beat. And that's somewhat correct. But really, the true issue with cardiac tamponade is that our heart can't fill to then push blood out. So, really, what's happening is our filling pressures, or our preload, or that diastolic pressure that we get in our heart, it's non-existent because our heart can't fill with blood. And if our heart can't fill, then it surely can't pump blood out. That's the major issue in cardiac tamponade. So what the CCRN really likes to test on is what's actually happening, right? And we know that the sac is filling with fluid. This in turn is causing our preload to drop. So our ventricles can't fill with the appropriate amount of blood. If they can't fill, then our stroke volume is going to drop because I have no blood, right, to pump out. If my stroke volume drops, then my cardiac output drops, and then tissue perfusion will drop as well. This is what leads to the lactic acidosis buildup that we see, right? And we see that in all forms of shock. The final thing that the CCRN likes to test on is Beck's triad. And this is a group of 3 symptoms, signs and symptoms that we see with cardiac tamponade. The first is jugular vein distension, then there's hypotension and muffled heart sounds. So we're actually going to talk about why each one of these are occurring. So if we look at JVD, or jugular venous distension, this is occurring because, again, right, we have fluid that should be moving into the heart and it can't, right? Because they can't fill. The heart's being squeezed and our ventricles can't fill with blood. Well, where does that blood go? That blood's going to back up. And one of the closest things to the heart is actually your IVC. And your IVC goes right to your jugular veins. So this is why you'll start to see them start to get distended, because that blood has to go somewhere. The next thing we typically see will be hypotension. And this really makes sense, right? Because we know our filling pressures are not good. So therefore, our stroke volume and our cardiac output is not going to be good, which is going to drop our blood pressure, causing hypotension. You can even take this a step further and say not even hypotension, but you'll see a narrowing pulse pressure. So the difference between your systolic and diastolic will get closer together. The last thing we see is muffled heart sounds. And this is literally occurring because that fluid surrounding the heart will actually dampen noise itself.